Guys, most of you are listening to this on August 1st of 2025, which means one thing and one thing only. Fall camp is here, and there's college football played this month. We made it. We talk about the three things I want to see most in fall camp, what I'm most looking forward to. And we sit down with Clark Brooks, SEC Stat Cat, and ask him for an interview because my voice is still gone, and this guy knows more than anyone else when it comes to metrics, analytics, and he tells you why LaNorris Sellers is the best quarterback in the SEC. Locked On Gamecocks starts right now.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Locked On Gamecocks, or as it says, Loked on Gamecocks, because we've dropped and lost the K during the move. We are in a new place. We're in Louisiana. I'm still wearing my shirt from work, and we are having a great day, and I hope you are as well. But welcome back in, Locked On Gamecocks, and thank you for everyone making Locked On Gamecocks your first listen each and every day. Shout out to our everydayers. Remember, we're a free and available podcast wherever you get your podcast, as well as on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, that last part has not been your team every day. I have lost my voice during the move. I have my sweet fiance now bringing me some hot, she's raising the roof over here because it's 1997, bringing me some hot tea to get me through this whole thing. But I am fired up, guys, and I'm probably yelling a little bit. Man, it has been way too long. It is now August, and we are sitting here on the cusp of the actual football season, and I can't wait. So let's get right into it. Here's how the show's going to go today. We've got three things I want to see most in fall camp. Give an update on the Ruhsul Faison thing. It's not going to be good. Just going to let you know right now. And then we're going to sit down with Clark Brooks. And this guy, guys, I tell you what, there's so many good follows in college football media nowadays. But this kid does so much when it comes to breaking down numbers and analytics. They call him SEC Stat Cat. Excuse me. And so we are going to sit down with him, give my voice a break, let him take the reins, and talk a little bit about LaNorris Sellers next season. Listen, I cannot say thank you enough. I'm so fired up to be going back into season 2 with y'all, talking about this team. Let's get right into it. If spring camp, God, I keep saying spring camp, fall camp opens tomorrow. And if you're listening to this on August 1st, it's today. What do we want to see most? Now, what I'm looking for most is this. One, is there any good news with Ruhsul Faison? Is there any good news from Ruhsul Faison? I wrote about this today on LouisianaSports.net, shameless plug, about the NCAA and how, listen, man, decisions are hard. I don't like making decisions. You guys probably, like if you don't think decisions are hard or decision-making is hard, ask your wife or significant other what they want for dinner night. And if they don't open with, I don't care, whatever you want, I'll give you $20. Like, I get it. But the NCAA's job is to make decisions. And they have not done that in over 200 days about Ruhsul Faison. So I'm fed up. I'm pissed. I know y'all are too. But Shane Beamer and this program and this staff, they will have a plan. I have no doubt about that. It's just frustrating. And maybe we see him at some point. Maybe it ends up being like that kid that I can't remember his name right now. That was at North Carolina. Pardon me. At North Carolina that didn't get Tez. His name was Tez. I don't know. Anyway, but either way, the kid that was at North Carolina a couple years ago and didn't get approved or until I think it was late October, and he goes off and has 3 touchdowns that game. Maybe it's a thing where we don't get Ruhsul Faison until the second half of the season, and that gauntlet of the schedule goes in then. But here's the deal. The staff will have a plan in place, and I have fully believe that they will figure something out at running back. The good news here, man, you got some talent to work with, right? Going into my next thing that I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what – I think we all know what the first team pass catchers are going to be. I expect it to be Michael Smith at receiver. Tight end. At receiver, Nick Harbor. Jovius Jacobs probably. Maybe Bennett. Maybe Jared. I don't know. But there are some freshmen on this team that we all know are going to contribute. I want to see starting day one who is going to be making these steps forward into getting more the most playing time, because they can't play all of them most likely, right? I want to see who is going to be playing and getting the most playing time and start taking the steps forward of more than anything, pass catching. I know they're going to be able to pass catch. I'm sorry, I keep shaking the table. I know they're able to catch passes. I know that Donovan Murph is a freak of nature. I know Brian Rose is a freak of nature. Sorry, I have been sick and I'm cough medicine, so I'm all over the place. But bear with me. I know they've got athletes everywhere for those receivers. I also know I want to know which ones are going to block. Like which ones, like that's the thing I would say so many times. Nick Harbor last year, the thing that made me believe in that kid so much was like, and like revel and like how great of a job and teammate he was, man, they got that guy to buy into blocking when he had just come off of training to be in the Olympics. So anyway, I want to see who is able to figure out pass blocking and like run blocking and like not pass blocking, run blocking, and being able to figure out like getting like, you know, kind of dirty with their hands and strength and all that kind of stuff, and not be a situation where, man, like a lot of these kids have probably never had to do that, at least to a level they're going to have to at this level in the SEC in year one. So there's a ton of talent, but who's going to be able to get like into like the nitty gritty and the little things? Because if there's anything y'all know about sports in general, but especially football, same thing with running backs early on. Yeah, like the most talented kids are going to play. The cream always rises to the top, but like the guys that can do the small things, the little things, the things that go unnoticed, like you are not going to see a 5-star running back take the field in a big program when they're whipping on pass protection, right? Like you've got to figure out a way to do all the little things well, not just catch the football. So I'm excited about that. Then the other part is this. I want to see who's on the first team linebackers, right? I think Fred Johnson's going to be a star. I think he's going to be a star. Is Darden going to be on the field? Like, is he going to get like significant reps or look like he's like running with the 1 or 2s? Where are the transfers? Or Okun Rockwell, the kid from Alabama, is he going to play? Murphy, kid from Florida State, is he going to play? Like, I think he will be a starter. But like, I want to see this little middle 5, and like everyone in the front 7 besides the ends. I want to sit here and see who is going to be able to step up and be the first team in the teeth of that defense right in the front 7. And then last but not least, and I think you guys know where I'm headed with this, man, who is going to line up on the other side of Dylan Stewart? Because you have a chance to have bookends that are really, really good at getting after the quarterback for the second year in a row. And it's great that you have Dylan Stewart. He is phenomenal. But, like, who is going to be the Robin to him as Batman, right? Like who's going to step in right away and be able to take some of the heat off him, because he's going to get double teams and sometimes triple teams, and they're going to run right at him in the run game. We've got a special delivery from my fiance. Hey, okay, showing off the ring. And we have Pepper here, who is not going to jump on. Pepper, you want to say, hey, it's her birthday. We're having a great day. I know we're a little bit all over the place. I know we're a little bit silly right now, but like I said, fired up and ready to be here. I hate that the K fell off. Oh, that's good. The K fell off in the sign behind us, but man, I just like it feels like we have just been waiting so long to get to this point. And I know we're going to have to wait a little bit longer on the Ruhsul Faison news, which sucks, but there's football this month, and South Carolina plays football, and South Carolina's going to win football games this month, and I am fired up about that. When we come back, I'm going to stop talking because I'm already just scrambling all over the place, getting ahead of my season and everything. We're going to bring in Clark Brooks. If you have not familiar with Clark Brooks and you love numbers, God, this guy is so much fun. Visual graphics, SEC StatCat is on Twitter, but no one breaks down the legit nitty-gritty stats and numbers and metrics of the SEC better than this guy. So when we come back, we will talk to Clark and get his thoughts on this team and LaNorris Sellers specifically. Before we do, I want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Drip Drop. If you're trying to stay on top of your routine, whether it's workouts, long days on campus, or staying focused through back-to-back classes, hydration is where it all starts. That's where Drip Drop comes in. Listen, Drip Drop is the doctor-developed and scientifically proven for fast hydration. It uses the perfect balance of sodium, electrolytes, and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of a leading sports drink. I tell you what, I personally love it. Like all the flavors are fantastic. They ask you to pick a favorite. I can't because they all taste really, really good. I always keep a few packets in my backpack when I go to work. And now, especially covering fall camp over here in Baton Rouge, and also covering fall camp in general, and going to games. Like we'll be in Willie B not that long from now. And when we get into that stadium, it is the hottest place on earth. Keeping a couple of these packets in your back pocket, drop it into a Dasani or water or whatever they have there. It will do the trick and make sure you do not crash and anything like that. So right now, Drip Drop is offering Locked On customers 20% off your first order. Just head to dripdrop.com. Use the promo code LockedOnCollege. That's dripdrop.com. Promo code LockedOnCollege for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard. Oh, brother, too late for that. Ooh, all right. We'll be right back with more Locked On Gamecocks. All right, we are back with the second part of the Locked On Gamecock Show. We're here with a very special guest, Clark Brooks, a man I've only met one time in Nashville at Media Days. And I felt like I needed an autograph on him because it's like there's nobody that I like. I love stats. I love stats so much. I love deep dives, but nobody that gets into like the nitty-gritty of those stats better than you. Recently, now working with On3. Good to see good things happen to good people. One, how are you?
I'm great. Happy Gilmore too. I'm in the camp. It was worth a watch.
Okay.
I'm in need of a laugh. Freaking Naked Gun is out this weekend.
Yeah.
So, you have a Lonely Island guy directing it, Leslie Nielsen. I'm ready to laugh again, Chris. So
yeah.
Of course, and football is right around the corner, so spirits are high, my friend.
I thought we'd open with the football thing, but I also here's the thing: the Happy Gilmore thing is so stupid because it's like
it was so
everyone's like so mad about it, and I'm like, I mean this in the nicest way possible because I love Adam Sandler, but we were all like, I was at least 11 when that movie came out. It's like, oh my God, you don't have the same sense of humor anymore. That's probably for the best. And then also like, has anyone seen any of his recent movies? Grown Ups is not good just because it's on USA and Freeform every single weekend and Comedy Central, like every single weekend from February to whenever. Like, I tell you what, I make this joke a lot, and I'm like, every February, I never like it's never seemed to remember until it gets to be February just how often Grown Ups is on TV. Because then there's no football, and I'm like, what the hell is this? It's on again?
It's funny you mentioned that because I listen to comedy podcasts because I just get so much football. So when I'm charting stuff, I just have stuff on the background. Yeah. And I love Dana Carvey and David Spade's podcast.
Yeah.
And if I had $1 for every time David Spade has quipped, man, we keep the lights on at TBS because of how often they play Grown Ups. I'd have a nice little stipend on my hands. But
yeah.
To your point, the expectations were lowered. I went in like you should go in with any comedy these days. Lower your expectations and just look to have a good time. Now that in how the true comedy era is basically dead, everything kind of has to be a hybrid. It's half drama, it's half slasher film, it's half zombie, whatever. It's just nice to just see a pure laugh out loud comedy because I was surprised how much I did laugh out loud. I actually think that John Daly and Happy's idiot kids were actually some of the best parts. If you slice out the 20-30 minutes of cameos, you bump that movie up to pretty good territory. But like you said, Hateful, what was it? That Western he did? The worst movie I have ever seen in my life. Yeah. I usually like to, soldier through a movie. That's one movie I can absolutely say I stopped watching about 40 minutes and just absolutely terrible. So not that I was expecting the most, awesome experience binging this on a Friday night, but as far as the state of comedy goes, I was actually pleasantly surprised.
All right, well, listen, Locked On. Excuse me, hold on. Now I'm coughing. Locked On Gamecocks. We should do a Locked On comedy. I haven't done stand up in 2 years, but I mean, I'm dead. I'm with you on that. I did it for a decade in Atlanta. One of my friends that I used to open for me when I would headline was. She's now touring with David Spade.
That's awesome.
And comedy has taken a very weird turn just with this day and age. But we'll talk about that some other time. You talk about comedy and laughing out loud. One of the things that's made me laugh out loud the most this offseason and then yell into the abyss and then immediately getting my Twitter thumbs out is this notion that LaNorris Sellers is a terrible passer. And it cracks me up because it's like the idea that we're talking about LaNorris Sellers not being a good passer. One thing is it's year one as a starter in the SEC. And the growth he made throughout the season, I personally think that he's only going to get better. Now, he's not going to sneak up on anybody anymore. But explain to me not where the notion comes from, but kind of dispel that notion if you can.
Well, he had bad feet early on. He holds the ball on a little too long. Doesn't see the field all that well. But it's funny you mentioned that he's an inaccurate passer because I like to, not to say I get influenced by other people, but NFL writers just have a different perspective than people in my shoes. So I actually saw something the other day that said he would have been like in the 47th percentile of accuracy, which, as someone who literally charts every single SEC offensive snap on a weekly basis during the season, that's unfounded. He had one of the lowest uncatchable pass rates across the season in the SEC. In my quarterback impact study, which basically strips out all the fat and just measures these guys against their 6th hardest opponents, his depth-adjusted accuracy, which applies more weight the ball travels downfield, was one of the best in the.
So hold on. Say this again. The idea that he cannot throw the ball downfield. Yeah. Right? Like that's what I keep going back to. It's like maybe the intermediate route stuff is like we're missing here, but like downfield, he was one of the best. He's not DJ Lagway. DJ Lagway I thought was incredible. Like deep passes, but like yes, that right there, like he was much better on deep balls, I thought, than people ever saw or gave him credit for.
But yes, the one thing I will say that people can knock him for is that inconsistent footwork, which is like, of course, that's a process thing, even if he is completing these passes. And he throws what, like, you could probably distill this to calling it a now pass, as opposed to maybe optimally leading somebody downfield to space. He's just putting it on them, making somebody stop their momentum or whatever, and just making sure they have a nice, easy catch opportunity. But and the other thing, like I kind of hinted at, is the prudence. Right. He will not let go of that ball unless he's sure he can complete it. So that invites a lot of pressures. That invites a high time to throw. That invites a lot of backyard heroics. Yeah. But I think he's really good at that. But I will also be quick to remind you, Mr. Marler, that South Carolina is consistently one of the SEC's best offenses at moving backwards. That's
the stat that made me reach out to you. Was that
2021 to 2023. So those 3 straight years, they were dead last in the SEC in negative play rate. At least 10% of their plays every single year was negative. And the only reason they weren't dead last this past season was because Oklahoma was so freaking inept that they had to be the worst team in the conference. Yeah. But it's just a debilitating aspect to that offense, no matter how they operate, because they kind of do change things year over year. You know, when Beamer first got there, the big identity, I would say, from that offense was a pugnacious inside power scheme. Now it's a little bit more zone-based. Of course, they did triple options and orbit motions more than anyone else in the SEC last year. So there's a lot more kineticism. Obviously, when you have a dynamic athlete like LaNorris Sellers, it makes a lot of sense to get him on the move and put defenses in precarious situations. But yeah, moving backwards way too much. Of course, baked into that TFL rate is sacks. Basically a 13% sack rate, I think, in his impact study off the top of my head, which is way too high to suffer
41
a sack.
Last season.
Yeah. And to also kind of like encapsulate his, what I like to call his prudence, you know, he's not letting go of that ball unless he knows someone's wide open and he can have a little nice dump off. So South Carolina's 3 most repped pass concepts in meaningful minutes. So sail, mesh, all verts. Those are all attack all layers of the field, right? You have all verts deep. You have sail that can be short to intermediate, and mesh is kind of short focus. Right. They ran that 99 times across the season. In those 99 reps, 34 were a sack or a scramble. So think of that. Think of it like a diet. All those wasted plays, all those types of, you know, empty calories or kind of late night snackings, whatever how you want to think about it. But things just not being executed to the design, whether it is not trusting your guys to create separation, not seeing it, or just preferring, hey, I can make this one guy miss and boom. On. So yes, I love his confidence in his own abilities with the ball in his hand. It's just I would love to see that confidence and more consistent downfield attacking in his modus operandi as a passer.
You know what's wild is I saw a stat the other day on PFF, and I was like looking through like some of the numbers between him and Nussmeier. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Nussmeier had one of the best offensive lines in the league, right? Like I think they only allowed 15 sacks.
A lot of pressure from my book, but
he also did not have like their run blocking was terrible.
I'm actually like, this is something I'm going to look at in the next coming days. I think we have a downward trend in running back explosive plays. While wide receiver runs and quarterback keepers are very efficient and they're kind of buoying things.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm looking at each scheme and I'm like, what's actually producing explosives? The running back only plays are consistently under like 13%. And like on our, let's just say an average SEC's running back's explosive run rate, a good one is usually around 15 to 16%.
Yeah.
So it's below the individual line. And again, when you're looking at who does it right, I'm finding less and less answers on any given year. Not to say that the pass games are completely taking over with how, like to say Georgia, they love to rock that too high shell and adjust based on post-snap movements and all that stuff, trying to keep everything in front of them and depend on your tackling in space. Well, it's a lot harder to get explosive through the air. That way we have two deep safeties. Yeah. But you think with lighter boxes, it'd be easier to run. Yeah. So, again, that's just something I want to look at. But, I just got off on a little diatribe, and I apologize.
All good. I'll tell you what, we'll get back to we're going to talk about some empty calories because that's actually way more fun than the sacks are when you brought the diet thing. We're going to do a quick break. But before we do, also, I will tell you, maybe we'd have a little bit more explosive runs from running backs if the NCAA would get off their ass and let Ruhsul Faison be eligible. So give me 2 seconds. We'll be right back with more Locked On Gamecocks and more with Clark Brooks right after this. All right, and we're back. Dude, okay, so you brought up this earlier with the mesh concepts and the sacks. And one of the things that really stood out to me with the PFF thing that I was bringing up was you said he holds onto the ball too long. You look at any of the numbers, the pressure rate from the two tackles. There was the two most pressures allowed from any tackle combination in the SEC. They allowed, listen, you got some talent there. Josiah Thompson should be good. He was a former top 50 recruit, a 5-star on some boards. He should be good. You know, what else you have across the offensive line? You've been very bad. But when you look at the numbers of pressure rate, you brought the TFLs and the negative plays. You look at the total sacks allowed and where that ranks. And then you look at the average time to throw.
Over 3 seconds. It's crazy.
It was longer than anyone else in the SEC.
And the Power 4 even. That's was crazy. The highest. So that is a very nice way to just articulate. He just holds on the ball way too much.
Right.
Whether by design, whether by hero ball, or whether by just not, feeling the trust to get rid of it.
Listen, the hero ball thing too is like that is a negative connotation to it. But at the same time, it's like a lot of times he had to be that because of what was around him last year, 2024.
I will say it is a little bit of a hindrance when a guy can't play on time all the time, but the NFL, they crave that stuff now. Yeah. They are craving these playmakers and when things break down because they think they can coach you to hit a 3-step drop, read a spot concept or a 5-step drop and read a sail or cross or work off a play action. Do that basic stuff because it's so much timing, programming, just getting reps.
Right, reps.
As we've talked about with our comedy stuff, some people can improvise and some people can't. Yeah. It's just a skill set. And that skill set is immensely valuable. So even though, from like an analyst standpoint, maybe you maybe want to see him play on time, but like if you're trying to evaluate high-end traits, he displays them routinely. As I have said, and many people have said, you distill that Clemson game into a serum. Give me that stuff every day out of bed. I'm running 20 miles before lunch. I mean, that stuff is the thing that definitely helps fuel off-season buzz, but absolutely just makes your mind go a mile a minute think of the possibilities and the high-end upside he can bring because that's just his legs. We haven't really kind of mentioned, he kind of still has a strong arm. He can drive the ball downfield, even though he doesn't necessarily want to push the ball downfield a whole lot. He's a little bit of, I wouldn't say a check down Charlie. He's definitely not a check down Charlie. Only 1.7% of South Carolina's plays last year were a check down. That is very, very low.
Yeah, how many?
1.7% of their plays resulted in a check down last year. I think it's 17 by volume if I just looked off my Excel sheet of that breakdown. But compare that to someone like Will Rogers at Mississippi State or Graham Mertz, his first season at Florida. That puppy's like 10%. So that's a massive difference. So even though he might be, dumping it off short, they're not necessarily true checkdowns. Those are usually by design, especially with how often they love those slide and flat RPOs, those easy little dump offs. Those
little dump offs the tight end. The start of last year is like it felt like every single game was like a RPO concept, not really like where they're going to roll out left, usually across his body, and find Simon for like a 3 to 6 yard route. And like we've seen that over time in football become like part of offenses where those are the new run plays. Like those are the new like trying to figure out how to get like easy positive gains. And I tell you what, like I remember growing up. I'm old. I remember growing up and hearing stuff from my grandparents. Were like, I don't like when they throw the football because they throw the ball. Only two things can happen, and one of them's bad. And you're like, well, all right, let's bring it in.
Like stumbles don't happen at all, and people don't get turf monster or tear
right
cutting to space. I mean, this is silly, but I'm a child of the air raid, so I have a little bit of a different perspective.
Yeah,
literally, the air raid was born in my backyard in Lexington, Kentucky. I saw it when I was 6 years old. I played in the BYU spread in high school, played quarterback, tight end, center. I got that puppy down. And of course, now that basically everyone tries to borrow aspects from it, it's definitely beneficial. But as far as that goes, I'm just a little different.
Well, if you're in an offense though that is consistently putting up 10% of your overall, over 10% of your plays negative,
backwards, it's like, just bad. Because of course the other side, are they getting explosives? And they're at least okay at that. So at least in previous years before this year, like it's just it was just almost a magic trick how that team was succeeding. Winning in the margins, because I kind of hinted at this with the high sack rate, but every single year under Beamer, the pressure rate allowed has gotten worse. This past year, they were second worst in the SEC under Vanderbilt, had a higher clip than 38.5. They had been, until this past season, no better than second worst in Beamer in rush yards before contact. Just banging into the line of scrimmage, no cushion whatsoever. This past season, even though it was better, they still finished in the bottom four. So in the conference. So it's just consistent.
Like people are concerned about, like, you're losing guard to guard. You're losing 93.5% of your snaps from last year. Yeah. And I've heard this been brought up on shows like all around the country, like doing those throughout like spring or whatever. And it's like, I'm not worried about that because it can't get much worse. Like what has the offensive line been? And I'm not saying I know that sounds kind of derogatory or kind of rude to the players. But
believe me, it always can get worse for college football.
Don't say that.
Dude, do you remember the South Carolina game? I'm sure you do. The week before the glorious upset of Tennessee. Do you remember the stuff you were seeing where linemen were pulling into each other and smacking each other in the face? That was one of the most inept things I've ever seen. Luckily, that was not sustained over the course of the season and literally was fixed in a week. Yeah. But it can always get worse. And
let me ask you this. Because I get what you're saying with the offensive line, but they've also brought in much better talent on the offensive line. Like, and there's also finally depth there. Like I always bring this up, and it may be a stupid stat, but it just stands out because it's like Spencer Rattler came to South Carolina from Oklahoma. He left Oklahoma. They had 11 offensive linemen that were ranked 4 stars or higher. South Carolina had 2, and like I fully understand. We don't need to sit here and be like, oh well, the stars always matter, and the ratings always matter, rankings, whatever. Like, but like. That's a significant drop-off. And you look at the past couple of years, like how many have even been on the roster? You've had no more than 4. And I think that's the highest that you have this year. So like they've finally gotten some talent. And they're able to, like, it almost feels like they've been kind of treading water with the people they're bringing in and trying to figure out how to like get bodies on the field while also developing like some of these younger players and keeping them in the system. And now it kind of feels like you've kind of caught your breath and you're able to build like I feel confident the first time like they have a 2 deep on the offensive line. They, like, if they needed to mix and match some guys or somebody goes down, then you feel okay about it. Versus like last year, like, oh my God, it's another true freshman that's going to have to start. It's another person that's like, if this guy is this bad, like statistically or like what I'm actually seeing visually with my eyes, like the guy behind him, like that, I mean, what are we doing? And so it feels like you have at least some depth for the first time.
And that's how you're going to win in this conference for sure.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to focus on the Ryan Williams or the quarterbacks or the awesome new pass rushers, and we know South Carolina definitely has one of those. But you're not going to really be a true difference maker or be a playoff contender unless you have a good, deep, sturdy offensive line. Yeah. And while Florida remains to be seen what they're going to do this season, one reason why I think they beat expectations is because they invested in size and they have a big awesome group of offensive linemen. You know, Austin Booker, I love. Of course, everyone wants to talk about Jake Slaughter being the best center in the country. But yeah, they have a fantastic group. And of course, you know, that's how you're going to literally win in the margins in this conference. Yeah. So while obviously things have just not been good statistically or on the eye test, but optimistically, yes, you would like to think that those guys that they finally invested in and they got on campus and they retained and they were able to develop and take the next step. There's absolutely potential there. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I'm just more, let's wait.
I hear you. Yeah. Dude, I told you 10 minutes. We went 20 immediately. I enjoyed the blank out of this, and we got to do it again. I have to rest my voice, but can we do this again in the near couple of weeks, man? This is great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always just a phone call away, Chris.
Appreciate it, brother. You tell everyone where they can find your stuff. And again, if you're a nerd like me, not just because I wear glasses, but just like love to see the numbers, then I'll be honest. Like, I don't think it's a big secret here that everyone's listening to the show. I don't always know what they mean. Clark's a great reference and a great resource to tell you and explain everything and break it down. So where can they find you?
So, yeah, I'm on X and I'm on Blue Sky. On X, it's Clark Brooks _on3. That is the parent company. Be sure to check out all the awesome On3 stuff. We have a great fan network. We have a South Carolina site. We have an awesome Georgia site. We have an awesome Kentucky site. We have an awesome Ohio State site. So, a lot of stuff. We have a lot more stuff coming down the pipe there. So, during the season, I'm going to be in charge of our impact ranking. So that's literally ranking 900 players every single week across the 12 position group. So having some stats that I can refer to and help separate the apples from the oranges is going to be very beneficial. And of course, the site is under construction, but once it's done, I promise you guys, it's going to be a fantastic resource. Yeah. You're going to have advanced statistics like some of the things I've mentioned. I chart every single snap offensively across the conference, so you can see how often a team uses a type of motion, or how often they target the sail concept, or how often they run inside duo. A lot of stuff, a lot of resources, pass charts, catch charts, advanced stats stuff, and we're going to be adding EPA and again all this other stuff down the pipe. But that's secstatcat.com. But yeah, more of that stuff. But I would definitely focus you all to go visit the home side On3, like I mentioned earlier.
Brother, we appreciate it. We'll get at you soon.
Absolutely. You have a good one.